Daily Dose of Darryl, Viewer's Digest, Season 2, Episode 11, entitled Today, December 12th through 18th, 2022. In this episode, we are looking at today. Every today is actually different. When we think about December, we think about many holidays and many holy days, and in our household we celebrate Christmas among many other holidays. And during this time we see many decorations, characters everywhere like Santa Claus, lots of different lights and features. People are hanging the stockings out. Many customs and many lands have similar practices, but one of the things that this week we will look at is the fact that every day is special. When someone says, "What's your favorite day of the week? Monday or Saturday or Wednesday?" I generally respond, "Today," because today is the only day we have, and each day we have is special and so unique. As we look at the days of the week, we realize that special things took place on each of these days throughout history. These things didn't just take place all of a sudden. They were preceded by a wealth of history and a wealth of preparation. The same is true for each of us in our own today. Monday, the 12th, courage. Courage is not having the strength to go on. It is going on when we don't have the strength. For instance, on December 12th, in 1787, Pennsylvania statehood was granted, and it took much courage leading up to that day. The state of Pennsylvania is one of the oldest states in the USA. Amazing cities like Philadelphia have developed in that state. Our days also require courage. As I think back on each of my days, most required courage to go on in spite of whatever adversity existed. Back in the days of helping organize and found Farmhouse Fraternity at Auburn University with a wonderful group of young men, or riding a bicycle to Alabama while ill, and yet to help with hunger concerns, or helping gather 3,000 plus people to help start a local crop hunger walk, or helping with fire service with various emergencies through the decades, or speaking from the pulpit each week, week after week, for over 50 years. Courage has always been something that was needed in each of my days, and I'm sure it has been for you as well, and will continue to be needed. Tuesday, the 13th, common sense. This sign that I saw made me laugh, but it also made me think about something about common sense. The sign said, "Caution, water on road during rain." I had to laugh. I really didn't think I needed a sign to tell me that when it's raining, everything's wet. Abel Tasman was an explorer that landed on a distant island. It was later named after him, Tasmania. On November 14th, 1642, he arrived there. However, less than a month later, on December 13th, 1642, he got a glimpse of another piece of land sticking above the horizon. Common sense kicked in. I believe that's something else. And it was, of course. It actually turned out to be New Zealand. So on this day when he discovered New Zealand, it didn't happen by chance. It was simply common sense for him to look over and say, "Well, there it is." Common sense also kicks in when you get older. You know your toenails are going to get thicker. They seem to be located a lot further away, too, each year. We go from being young, putting our toes behind our head, to simply being able to wave at them. Common sense says to have a professional assist you. It's called a pedicure. It also feels pretty good, too. But for me, it just turns out to be common sense. Wednesday, the 14th, contemplation. You know, the action of looking thoughtfully at something for a long time. An example is, the road is too busy for leisurely contemplation of the scenery. Or, deep reflective thought. An example would be, he would retire to his room for study or contemplation. Gene Cernan became the last of only a dozen men to walk on the moon on this day, December 14th, back in 1972. He called it perhaps the brightest moment of his life. It's always good for us to contemplate things. When I was in Hawaii at Pearl Harbor, I remembered another day, December 7th. And as I stood there and reflected on that battleship that was still there in the water, that had been sunk, I began to think many things more than just one day in my own life. Contemplation will cause us to take action. Whether after contemplation it's going to see a friend at a nursing home or rehab facility, or stopping for a chapel service, or even sharing a meal. Contemplation, it gives us what we need many times to take further action and make that day even more special in our life and in others. Thursday, the 15th, comic relief. By definition, a relief from the emotional tension, especially of a drama that is provided by the interposition of a comedic episode or element. Or, you could say, just Darryl. People tend to laugh or smile when I'm around. I looked in the mirror. I know why. Well, I went to the doctor, and for a regular, once-a-year checkup. Afterwards, I went online where you can now see their notes or what they say about you. And I noticed under the physical examination something interesting. It said, appears younger than stated age. Well, I got to thinking, I did state my age correctly, but apparently he thinks I'm either younger than that age or I'm lying trying to be older. But it sure struck me funny that I'd claimed to be older. It was a little comic relief for my day. It was a welcome statement on the doctor's report, but I did put a note that maybe the doctor needs to go to another doctor for an eye check to give me a second opinion. But you know what happened on this particular day wasn't really a comic relief as such, but it did strike me funny that it took so long to get around to it. On December 15th, 1791, Articles 3 through 12 were ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures, which constitute the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights. It was a joint House and Senate conference committee that settled the remaining disagreements in September, and on October the 2nd, President Washington sent copies of the 12 amendments adopted by Congress to the states, and it was then on December 15th that 3/4 of the states had ratified 10 of those known as the Bill of Rights. To me, it's kind of funny that it took that long for people to agree that we had these basic rights. So, in life, many times there are things we do that even provide a little lightness or laughter or joy in the midst of tough times. It was not an easy decision forming a new country, and it could be kind of tense during that time. I'm sure the founders found things to laugh about too. You know, in our life, whether it's on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, or finding some way to entertain people, or developing a variety of characters with funny looks, or just looking at life in a sort of joyful manner, comic relief is so helpful for people as they go through life, especially the many parts of life that are often tough and tense. Friday the 16th, consistency. Consistency is the critical driver for success. Being consistent means dedicating yourself to your goals and staying focused on things and activities to achieve your goals. Consistency requires a long-term commitment from you and involves sustained effort in doing actions repeatedly until you achieve your goals. As the colonists were forming a new country, it was not a quick matter that was solved instantly. However, one of the instances that helped move them toward consistent action on a long-term basis was one of the first that took place in Boston. In the Boston harbor on December 16, 1763, a group of colonists destroyed a large British tea shipment. It's commonly known as the Boston Tea Party, somewhat because the British were always known for their afternoon tea parties. We realize that this was one of many consistent actions to bring about our new country. Consistent action begins with the first step. When I do these daily doses, it takes a lot of consistency. There are many things that have to be done, many different components, lots of different equipment. And as you begin to work, whether it's with your script or the photographs or the editing process, you begin to have the thing come to life because of consistency, consistent action. We need it every today in our life.
Daily Dose of Darryl, Viewer's Digest from the Peebles Motivation Bureau, Season 2, Episode 10, December 5th through 11th, 2022. It's entitled, Explore. On
Saturday the 17th, Creativity. Wind, sand, and a dream of flight brought Wilbur and Orville Wright to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, where, after 4 years of scientific experimentation, they achieved the first successful airplane flights on December 17th, 1903. But it wasn't something that happened that day all of a sudden. It was that creative spirit that took effect over a long period of time. They allowed that creativity to come forth in action and come alive. During this time of the year, I see many different signs of creativity. Especially in children and with people that are preparing parties, and some who are working on a variety of special foods, people getting really creative during the holidays, and that's a good thing. We need to do the same thing in our life, whether it's through food or decorations in our lives. Each day, allow those creative sparks that are there to come forth in action and make that day, this day, today, a very special day for you and for others. Sunday, the 18th, Carte Blanche. Carte blanche is a saying we don't hear every day, but it means complete freedom to act as one wishes or thinks best. This day in history, December 18, 1865, the proclamation of the United States Secretary of State in 1865, this 13th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified. The 13th Amendment was formally adopted into the U.S. Constitution on December 18, 1865. This 13th Amendment did not immediately abolish or outlaw slavery in America, but it began to move us forward. Being raised in Alabama in the late 1940s and the 1950s and the 1960s, I began to realize that even though it was ratified and people were supposedly given freedom, after a couple hundred years, people still didn't have freedom. And I was really not allowed to participate with people of different races as freely back then as we can now. But even now, although it's on the books, it's not always easy to realize. Not all people have adopted that freedom for others in their hearts. Nevertheless, there are many experiences that I've been able to have that I could not have had many years ago. And the more I have of those, the more I contemplate on how that is taking effect in my life. How am I helping make that a reality for all people? How are we doing today? How are we offering freedom to all people that we meet each day, especially today? questions for stimulation. Monday, how did I demonstrate courage in my life this week? Pause and reflect. Tuesday, how did I use common sense in my life this week? Pause and reflect. Wednesday, how did my contemplation result in action this week? Pause and reflect. Thursday, what comic relief did I identify or share this week? Pause and reflect. Friday, where did my consistency show results this week? Pause and reflect. Saturday, where did my creativity come alive this week? Pause and reflect. Sunday, how did I create more freedom for someone this week? Pause and reflect. This is Darryl R. Peebles, the man behind the microphone, bringing you something positive each day from the Peebles Motivation Bureau, both positive, personal, and professional. Remember, there are 3 divisions: digital, real life, and print. But in the digital, we have not only the YouTube channel, but the website, Zoom events, and much more. In the real life, we do pulpit supply, funerals, weddings, magic shows, keynote speakers, and more. And in the print division, not only books, but magazine articles, newspapers, and custom artwork. Locally ordered books from me can get signatures and special discount. This one is already out and about, helping others. Churches and pastors have special discounts. I appreciate you, your ideas and support. Keep them coming. These are other areas that I might be able to help you, and these are my contact points. This is Daily Dose of Darryl, responding to the free and gracious gift of God. I am using humor, the art of illusion, modern technology, and decades of serving God and communities to work every day to uncover the beauty in all people and experiences coming my way, endeavoring to educate, entertain, and inspire. Each dose on this channel can help move us toward a better, healthier, and more informed mind, body, and spirit. I'm excited to be a small part of the expanding of our capacity to learn, love, and forgive, and together leave this world a better place for all. God bless you.